Hey everybody, remember the disclaimer, and also remember that the people that support me on Patreon get to see previews, work in progress shots, and high resolution shots of the completed figure. If you want to join them, the link is in the description right below. Hello my friends, this is Wake Angel 2001 coming at you with the next part of the commission for Gitz, Chris Thorndyke, or specifically a version of Chris Thorndyke as he would have appeared in Sonic Boom. This is a fan creation, of course. Now, funny thing, I almost wasn't able to do this commission for Gitz because, as you may recall from my Sonic Boom vlogs, I did a vlog about the Sonic X anime, where I've acted very animated in my hatred of this character. I need to remind everyone that Wake Angel 2001 is an internet persona that I made up to make my YouTube videos a little bit more interesting. I do not actually act that way in real life, and although I could practically write a doctoral thesis on why Chris Thorndyke was a poorly utilized asset in the Sonic X anime, I do not really hold that much hatred of the character himself. If you want a quick opinion, then I would say look at an anime that had come out shortly before Sonic X, Transformers Armada. That series also had a huge focus on some school-age kids that were basically Chris Thorndyke. They pulled attention away from the main characters, and they made the show much lower impact than it really could have been. If you want a version of how Chris Thorndyke might have been used well, look at the Transformers Prime cartoon. That cartoon also had a cast of human children that interacted with the characters, but they didn't stop the show from being interesting or pull too much focus from the main characters. So essentially, that's a quick and dirty way to say how they botched Chris and how Chris could have been used well. Because I am a huge Transformers fan, and I just find that analogy is the easiest thing to do. Alright, but onto this Chris figure. You can tell that this is a fan creation because here we see some of the artwork from that fan work is that he's friends with Dave the intern. And look at Dave there. Look at that genuine friendly smile. I don't think that Dave the intern, as he appeared in the cartoon, is actually capable of that kind of expression. Like, anytime that he expresses joy, it has to have a maniacal edge. Because, like, in his regular life, he has that browbeaten indifference of a McDonald's employee. But I digress. Let's actually make the toy then and stop making jokes about Dave. So, interesting combination of base parts that this one have. The arms are from an Equestria Girls mini of Pinkie Pie. The head and I believe feet are mold casted from an Ash Ketchum action figure. And the torso itself comes from a Barbie mini. Yeah, there's this line of Barbies that are like smaller than normal. So that's a rather esoteric collection of parts, and they're not all compatible with each other. I'll get in that when I talk about the arms, but let's talk about the head. Ash Ketchum, of course, wears a very large hat, which wouldn't really work too well for this because, you know, Chris doesn't have a gigantic alien head, so I did have to sand most of the hat away, and I did sand away the hair on the back as well. More on that in a bit. Once all the stuff was sanded down and round, then I sculpted the hair on. And the cowlicks are, like, they go in a different direction. I do believe that Chris has more of a Sora thing where the hair comes out in every direction, but here it all seems to be sucked over to one side. I don't know, this is just Animu hair. I don't really understand how hair is supposed to work in cartoons. Like, I guess they just use polymer cement for hair gel or something, I don't know. A little bit of Ash's original bangs are underneath there. I painted them to match Chris's bangs. You don't really see them unless you get up close to the figure from the side, so yeah, but whatever. Okay, so funnily enough, the neck hole on this Chris figure, this Ash figure's head, actually fit onto the Barbie torso neck perfectly snug without the need for any adhesive. It can turn left and right without, falling off, and it's, not too snug, not too tight. I was actually surprised that was able to fit so well. Now, the real modification came with the arms. Gitz was hoping that I would be able to just stick the Pinkie Pie arms into the Barbie shoulder sockets, but it wasn't doing. The pegs on the Equestria Girls figure were simply too small to fit in those big shoulder sockets. The reason being, if you look at these arms, the arms that the Barbie figure comes with are very twiggy, with no elbow joints, minuscule hands, but look at the size of those shoulder pegs. They're actually quite big. So big, in fact, that we were able to cut the pegs off, drill a hole inside of them, and then stick the Equestria Girls Mini's arms inside of them entirely. This would allow them to finally be compatible with the shoulder holes in the torso. Unfortunately, because of the way the torso is built, it has to be cracked in half down the middle in order to get the arms in and out, meaning you kind of literally have to break the toy to customize it. This also means that once I reassemble it and put the arms in properly, I would have to do any further molding to the body as one piece, with the arms still inside. Fortunately, this wasn't too hard, as aside from a little shoulder pauldron, I want to call it, on his right arm, Chris's costume doesn't really have too much to get in the way of the way the figure actually is built. So there's that much at least. The shoes were a light little modification. I put a little strap on top of them out of epoxy, but aside from that, they're just repainted for the most part. So let's take a look at that completed Chris Thorndyke figure. And here he is. Oh, yeah, that looks good. That works, right? Doesn't that work? I think that works. It does evoke the idea of Chris, but in someone else's art style, which that's kind of what Sonic Boom is all about, right? I mean, everybody is recognizable as themselves, but, different. So yeah, I kind of like this. I haven't actually read the fan material this is based off of, but, it's still a cool design. I like the way that this looks. And he retains all the posability and actually more posability because, as I said, there were no elbow joints in the original Barbie figure, and only swivel cut shoulders, not pin discs. So he's just about the same height as Dave the Intern. And cool thing, there is absolutely no adhesive holding the feet and head in place. They are just wedged in by the fact that they're the perfect size. And that does mean that he has foot rotation and a neck swivel, so that's really cool. So thank you all for watching this video, and remember, I do not personally hate Chris Thorndyke. That was just me acting as an exaggerated character before.